My name is Wojciech Sciesinski. I work as senior software engineer DevOps at Mobica. You can find me and catch me via email or Twitter. At the end of presentation, you can also find my link to my GitHub, because later some data can be pushed also there. I would like to provide you some guidance how you can convert your Windows PowerShell module so it's compatible with PowerShell Core 6.x. Agenda. At the beginning, I will explain you why I'm the correct person to talk about that. What does mean for me compatibility with PowerShell Core? If I will talk about PowerShell Core, means that is PowerShell Core 6.x in opposite to PowerShell Core 5x something, what is available in some versions Windows Server Nano. So for me, PowerShell Core is PowerShell Core 6, what is currently under developing. And next, we will try to answer for the questions like follow. Why? Why would you like to invest your time to make your code compatible? And the next, we will talk about how recognize the environment where the code is running, what are the main areas of incompatibility, how to test it, other gotchas what I found under my work, and finally we will see what the last step proposed by me is. Okay. So why me in this place? Maybe you know, if you follow a development cycle of Pester, that Pester since the middle of November last year is compatible with PowerShell Core. Most of that work I did myself, but also other people helped me, and of course, a lot of other people previously made it possible because generally code was in a good condition. I found some gotchas, but I will tell you later about that. Any links what are on my slides and what are shortened here will be available also as a text file in the documentation what will be published after presentation. So if you don't like that kind of shortened things, you will see the full links and with references. I think that can be helpful. So Pester Science 4.10 or maybe better 4.11 because in that version also Gherkin was supported on PowerShell.core, is compatible with PowerShell Core. Before that, I made the module what is named new output object, what you can find in PowerShell gallery. I will show you later for which purposes it was prepared and how you can use it, and why I mentioned here in context of compatibility. I'm glad that Ian Brighton is in this room also, because sometimes we work together to extend a Prescribo module made mostly by Ian, and I did some small work for that module to improve compatibility. It's not ready yet, and in this context means it's not fully compatible with PowerShell core. It's information about that module. It's a module what you can use to produce documentation from PowerShell code. You can generate Word documents, text documents, and HTML documents using domain-specific language. And it's used by module, what I also contributed, Format Pester, to make human-readable PowerShell tests. Not only me, I worked to make Pester compatible with PowerShell core, so of course other contributors are also very important. The final commit was squashed from other commits what came from my branch, so guys are not listed directly, but I will show you later that final branch from my fork is still available, and I hope I will not delete it by mistake in the future. Okay, compatibility with PowerShell core 6.x means for me that the code can be run using Windows PowerShell and can be run on all three main platforms what are listed here. Usually they are not in that order, but I did it in alphabetical. Maybe you observed I present using my laptop what is powered by Linux, Fedora 27 now. And I think that I'm only one. I didn't see any other person on the conference who used Linux for that. Okay, so the code can be run on that platform, can be usable, means that the warning displayed, it's not compatible with Linux. For me, it's not a compatibility, it's just only something. Also, the solution what was presented yesterday by Jeffrey Snower, our module is, based on my definition, is not compatibility. It's only extend usability PowerShell core on Windows. Okay, why we can or why we would like to invest time to make our code working on PowerShell core, because maybe our team or we directly would like to reuse our skills PowerShell on other platforms. Like I started using PowerShell core with conduction with GitLab's continuous integration. So I could part of tools use on Windows and Linux. it's exactly that case to extend existing workflows. For some operations, you can use free features available for open source or for open source projects like continuous integration offered by, for Travis CI, for example. Or you can do everything for PowerShell Core is optimized. This is exactly the quote from the description of PowerShell project at the GitHub project webpage. At the beginning, if you know your code, you need to answer yourself for questions if it's possible to make it compatible. So you need to know dependencies. If you are, if your code is dependent from the other modules, you need to verify if they are compatible with PowerShell Core. And for that, you can check PowerShell gallery, and some or most of modules what are compatible can be marked with that kind of tag. For this link is exact search to PowerShell gallery to display module with the tag. Of course, you can check documentation on the project webpage, or you can try find replacement. Known issues what are listed here are very important if you would like to know if you should really start that process to updating your code. The list of commandlets from Windows PowerShell what are not available in PowerShell.core on all platforms, not only on Windows, is relatively long from my perspective. And some of them are more important, some of them can be easy replaced or even skipped. So if your code relies on that, probably you can do it now, or you can implement some workarounds. Of course, why would you like to reinvent the wheel? Maybe you would like to use other tool like Ansible. If you would like to know how extend your how to reuse your PowerShell knowledge to extend Ansible, you can be interested in the session what I will conduct on Friday. Okay. Because the platforms are really different, okay. The first you have to know on which platform exactly your code is running in this time. Is it Windows? Is it Linux? Is it macOS? The macOS and Linux are not so different, but still I will show you some little things what you can be surprised. I was surprised. And that discovery you can do in at least 2 ways. Probably other projects implemented it also in some kind of other way, but most of them are based on checking the PowerShell version table variable, and the implementation can be different. PoSh Core. Okay. Its implementation, what I really like, in my opinion, is elegant. Its implementation from PowerShell, from the build.psm1 file, what is used to compile PowerShell. So generally, some variables are checked, and is returning custom PowerShell object, what can be assigned to the variable environment. And next, properties of that variable are used directly in the code. Sorry? Font bigger, okay. Just a moment. Object position. So it's like, I don't know what I checked. I'm a little nervous in that moment, so I apologize. Okay, it's not commented. Okay, scope is for that because it's direct. So we can check that we are on Fedora. Yes, we are on Fedora. Okay, for tester, function what is used to recognize is return the name of operating system. So is, in my opinion, is less elegant, but most of data can be extracted exactly and directly from PS version table variable. Okay. What are the main areas of incompatibility? The first is file system. As you see on that pictures, on the left is a Windows, on the right is Linux. Of course, they are different. They are different characters used to construct and divide path string to directories, and as you will see later, they are also different other like chars, characters what are not allowed. So for work on that, we can use methods what I returned delivered directly by .NET Core or by declared variables, or we can use dedicated commandlets. So let's switch to demo 2. When you run that one-liner, you will receive the list of methods what can be used to work with a file system in PowerShell to check the full path and other elements what are needed. But more directly, you can use this 4. As you can see, alt directory separator, volume separator, and path separator if you construct something like you would like to add additional elements to the, for example, to the variable path. So you can use this one to know that on Windows it will be semicolon. On Linux have to be that char. For some not obvious reason, you can use parts of variables what are defined in the system. I selected few, like PS model path or home, for example. They are declared on probably on the all platforms. And PS version table, what was shown previously. But in most cases, you can use join path and split path, what are aware then sorry, what know which how to behave on which system. So you don't think about that. Just use to that two commands. The new output object PowerShell module I made a few sometimes ago to help myself to produce output object for file system, files and folders. And under demo 3, I will show you some capabilities of them. I hope this is installed. Get module new output object. It's not available. Some time ago, I updated that module and published to poshcode.org, what is currently offline. So if someone try to find it, it's available on GitHub, probably in the repository of Joel Bennett. So still is some reference to the previous one. Key not recognized. Sorry. Start auto speed. Let's switch to full auto. So using of that module, you can provide you can create in the memory PowerShell object what return you information if the directory, if destination path exists, if the is readable for you, if the file what you would like to create exists or not, and ask you about overwrite, but don't delete it yet, because that module does not change anything on the hard drive. They perform only some checks. And at the end, it returns that kind of object, what is visible here. I will, after that automatic demo, I will explain some of lines. Because so generally, when we prepare the name of the object, we can select like prefix, middle part, if date should be in the name included, extension, etc. It's just a helper. So at the end, you will receive that kind of object. Oops. That's output object path. In my case, is based on parameters. That's parent is home. That should be included the date time part in folder name. In this case is false, and the output folder name prefix is users. But you can see that exit code for that check was free, so that's parent path is not readable. So you can easily use that code to handle that kind of situation by yourself. But why I show you that module? Because I found in it when I tried to make it available on Linux too. That we have some different that we have a different chars what are not allowed for different systems. So as you can see here, I extend the test to be to contain cases for Linux, like here, for macOS, because the set of unallowed chars is different, and of course for Windows, because, for example, for Windows that char is not acceptable in the path. For macOS, only one char is not acceptable. So you need to know exactly what you can expect from the operating system. Some kind of tricky things made that conversion, that update not trivial. Of course, later you have to also include information about public new output object, about, for example, path separator, like here. It's declared in that way, but it could be also read from .NET Core. Okay. You know that the chars what define the end of the line are different between Windows and Unixes, Linux and macOS. Generally, PowerShell handles it by itself. We don't need to care about that, as long as we don't try to deliver that file to the user. Because if someone has a normal editor, like Visual Studio Code or any other, it will open normally. The lines will be okay. But if someone tries to open in Notepad, there will be on Windows it will be one long line, and generally it will not be readable. For example, if you use the command that export to JSON, it will be one long line. So if you are interested if can or should be converted, the discussion is from the Stack Overflow. You can on Unix install additional tool and convert, because from Unixes work great with Windows-styled files, but in other direction is not so easy. Of course, we have control characters what sometimes are used to produce outputs, for example, for multi-line strings, what you would like to display in the console, or would you like to dump to the log files or something like that. I will mention also PoShScribble as a special case, still is under, maybe even not under discussion. Still it's not resolved because I didn't have a time to start with talking about that with Ian. Okay, so let's and as the result of that, sorry, it's not. As the result of that, we can see that expected regular expression table of contents and special characters is displayed. Maybe it's not visible, but it's like R to return a correct. Okay, so let's switch to demo 4. Under demo 4, I would like to show you a reference how it was handled in Pester. It's exact a reference to the commit what corrects it. As you can see, or not, now probably better, the references to backstick N and in other places can you see also backstick R are replaced with usage of system environment new line method. But not all are made in that way. Some, so you can switch by using control plus H. It's not so easy. In Pester is a special case because it's compatible also with PowerShell 2 and some code what and the additionally based on that special chars are parsed through messages from errors what are catched by Pester as a fails as a failed tests. So you it's in this case it was not so easy to reply in the first try. Of course, I replaced it almost like that by Control H, but later I had to check why some test fails. In that case, in different way than previously. So it's that reference for demo 4. Okay. The next, what you can observe as a source of incompatibility are features related exactly to operating system what the code is run. So if the feature is missing, you have to first try to replace them and include some if construction. If Linux, then use that. If Windows, use another one tool. Use hacks. So I will show you in the code. Skip if the feature is not critical, like we did for verifying code coverage for DSC on Linux, because it was not critical for us to verify that metrics, and DSC is not normally is not sorry, it's I'm not in present mode. It's not normally available on Linux. With some hacks can be installed something like that, but it's not as on Windows. The main areas of incompatibility, and let's look at the code. Okay, Pester verified the and normalized path. So then some commands require that file or folder exists, so it was added additional set of paths. Additionally, what is skipped desired state configuration on a platform other than Windows. Here we have reference to scheduled tasks as sch tasks.exe, so it's of course not available, and we added reference to vsudo as a tool, what is usually available on the systems like Linux and macOS. Additionally, here is a reference and mock for usage certificate store, what is not, of course, available on Linux. So it was switched to use dynamic parameter. So it was used to the hidden parameter if the provider is a file system, because it was available on all platforms. Some hacks, what I mentioned previously. Let's make it that way. One of the tests tried to get command git.exe. Of course, the tool on Linux is not named like that, is without extension. So we just removed that extension, and get command behaves the same on Windows and other platforms. I think it's the most of usage. How to replace? You can look on that later. Similar work I did for PoSh, where I replaced means the Scribo generate documents based on some input and the command like get service was used, what is available only on Windows, but I switched to get process, but not in all cases, because sometimes it was used in mock, that mock for get service return something, some array or some hash tables, so it could left without changing to get process. So still you can find get service in test for PoSh. Okay. Probably without test, your work to adapt the code to other platform will be harder, really harder, because my advice is, if you don't have test yet, please write. It's a good moment to write them. Pester is compatible, so please use it. Tests also have to be updated for compatibility, because, of course, some scenarios are system dependent. If you would like to test with on other platforms, probably you would like to use some kind of continuous integration solutions for Travis CI. Travis CI for open source project is free and provide access to line access as virtual machines and containers. And also what is important for me for macOSs, that tests based on Travis are made and performed for code pushed to the tester. We are curious if the time for waiting for free macOS machines will be reasonable, and usually is. Like from my observation, I didn't check exact numbers, but from my observation is between 15 and 40 minutes. So if you don't have a budget for test to macOS, Travis CI is probably a good solution. Doug Fink wrote a blog post about how to test it. I recommend to read. He mentions other solutions, not only Travis CI. Okay, other gotchas. Case sensitivity. Sorry, I would like to show exactly code in which place is it, because under my work I spent a few hours to figure out why that's exactly why this does not work on Linux, because someone used not exact switch. On Windows, which is not case sensitive, it was correctly expanded. Expansion of parameters on Linux is available only if you start with the correct letter, the small or a big letter. So it was not expanded correctly, and in that way we found that bug. So it's a small thing. The next one gotcha is Git Config.
Is that by design from PowerShells?
Yes. It's by design. Means case sensitivity is by design for operating system, and is by design for PowerShell. So you have to use correct letters in a path, for example, because the file will not be found. Yeah, but if you if you type by hand, it probably works. But if you would like to use parameters expanding, it does not work. Like in that case. Okay, let's switch to the pester repository. Oops, I'm not seeing in, and look to Git attributes to in this file is configuration for Git version control system for repository, and it's a parameter how should be handled files with chars on the end of the line. So because the repository previously was made as a Windows style, and I started work on that on Linux. What is my main operating system for almost all computers what I use. I receive information that the line was converted something. Okay, it's okay. But when I put to the repository commit from the branch prepared by Joel Bennett, that commit introduced the new one version of binary files compiled on Windows. That also, and I did that on Linux. They also tried to change offline chars in that binary files inside. So it does not work. Means that they were not usable, the files. So we excluded the files, binary files from converting, and declared exactly what should be treated as text, and exactly like is that's under pushing to the repository, it will be converted. Your local copy will be in Linux style, but to the repository will be delivered in Windows style. But when I try to do it as a part of my contribution to the platypus, I'm not sure what is the correct pronunciation, Sergey tried to explain it to me that it's not the best way. So you can decide what is the better for you, what is more secure for you, for what platform will use your users, etc. When I work on PowerShell code, I use folder sharing between Linux, what is the host machine, host OS system, and Windows, what is run in virtual machines. And I didn't push and pull code back and via public repository. I often share folder and use that way of sharing code. The first, you need to remember about saving before you switch, because of course you will overwrite, and the changes are not committed yet usually, so you can overwrite your work. But also you would like to switch on that. Sorry, where we are. You can switch settings in the file what is inside Git configuration. It has to be made on your exact copy. That setting is not published to the public repository. So, because if you don't do it, if you open, I don't remember exactly in which way, if you open Windows codes on Linux, the permissions will be changed, and as a result of that, all files will be recognized by Git as changed. So you will have all files in changed state. You to push them to the repository, you have to stage them, add to the commit, and without that change, it's not possible. So it's some kind of gotchas. Okay, when you have your work done, You can add tags to the module manifest and publish to the PowerShell gallery. Of course, you can find it by tags also there. At the end, I would like to show you some tests. Before get module. Oh, it's old but usable. Invoke paster. It's a state of the code before I change my module new output object. A lot of test is automated. As you see, generally all tests related to the system-specific things are failed. Next, switch to new output object after. Still 4 tests because I didn't configure continuous integration and recently updated that module on Windows. So today I realized when I added in last moment for the demo. So I will, okay, it was the last demo. So summary, adapting of the code is possible, but the work required test, knowledge about the code, operating systems, and is a brain work as an opposite to manual work. Okay, next step, so 30-minute break because we are just little after time. Since 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. workshop, like mentioned here, you can stay or go to another room. Any questions? Yes, please.
Some issues with environment variables?
As long, I'm not sure if variable with case sensitive can affect the reading variable on Linux, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I understand the question. Please contact with me, or if the question is related to the paster, please open the issue. I didn't mention that I'm also I'm happy that I'm also a paster maintainer. Yes. You have to do it by yourself. Means that if Windows try to read username or try to find the user profile from the registry, for Linux you can read the line from the list of users if the users are created locally. So you need to know operating system. Sorry, I think that's, if someone has a more question, please catch me, and